Hi, everyone. I'm Douglas Quimby, co-founder and CEO of Arrival. Delighted to welcome you all to Arrival's first masterclass, a specialty event focused on helping you create amazing content of all types. We have a jam-packed program over today and tomorrow with a series of 8 classes covering content management and distribution, on the written word, how to create amazing written content, as well as visual and digital content, like creating highly converting tour pages, creating great video and photography. So we have a lot happening over the next couple of days, a couple of really quick things. So this event at Arrival, this masterclass is structured a bit differently from a typical Arrival conference. If you are a frequent attendee of Arrival events, and kind of thank you very much, and we love you for that. Just a quick note here that to see the full agenda, you can go into the day's agenda and click to see all sessions, and you'll see the schedule for all of our classes. Each class, we have 2 classes running concurrently over 4 sessions over the course of the day. If you want to attend 2 that are playing at the same time, don't worry. We have the same schedule running tomorrow. And of course, all of the sessions will be available on demand. So please have a look. But now, before we begin our training, what I want to do first is have a discussion about the big themes and trends in content and discuss the future of content, big picture, what we should all be thinking about. So I'd like to welcome to our discussion Alan Armijo, the co-founder of the Trip School, Merica Brewster, the CEO of the Von Mack Agency, and Shane Whaley, the host and producer of Tourpreneur. Welcome, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
Great to be here.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, this is a little bit different from, like, I guess, a training session. And we have so much happening, lots over the next 2 days focused on how to create amazing photography, how to create incredible tour descriptions, and so forth. And when I think about all of the content, the educational programming, like the training that Alan, you and Mitch and the team offer at Trip School, all of the courses and webinars and events and things that all of you offer. I mean, Shane, all the great content that you're aggregating and producing for our industry. It's always about, okay, let's do this, let's do this. We got to be on Instagram now. We got to be in Clubhouse. But I just wanted to kick this event off with just a big picture discussion on, why are we doing this? Like, should we be doing all of these things? How do we prioritize them, especially for so many small businesses? We can't manage and be in kind of 10 channels at once and produce everything. We're not all professional videographers and photographers and writers. So I wanted to step back and talk about, like, the strategy, how we think about this, what we should prioritize. So maybe just kind of big picture, Alan, I'll start with you. I mean, how do you advise all of the operators, the guides that you work with? Just, what do you create? How do you even start with a content strategy?
Well, I think that it's a little bit different for every person, because some people have skills, as you mentioned, in different areas. And I think that one thing that COVID has done in this whole time is given us a chance to do a big reset. And that reset has been really, it's been important for a lot of business owners, because they were too busy to deal with those small details, like learning to do Facebook ads or concentrating on the photographs on their website. And this time has given us a chance to reset. So I think really that what I've seen since just this last year that we've all been together, I mean, and we've gotten to know you guys very well. Shane's been incredible with content. Merica's been amazing. And, I've learned so much from her. I think that more than any time prior to this happening, I think that we have so many outlets of support for each other. And I think that's what the difference is that we're there supporting each other. And like you mentioned, all the Clubhouse, Shane, the Facebook groups, Arrival, and all the content that's been put out. There's never been a resource, in my opinion, as much as there has been during this time. We've all kind of come together to help each other.
So, but thinking about the designing a content strategy, for an operator, like what advice would you have just to begin? Where do we even kind of focus on? Is it creating tour descriptions? I mean, there's basic things like we all have to have a website, but there's photography, there's video. What should I be doing internally, like in-house? What should I be farming out? What do I do? What do I do first? What do I do second? America, like what do you? How do you advise your clients?
I tell people to create at least a great base, a cornerstone, and make sure that that base, that cornerstone piece of content, leads to sales, has sales up front and center, a link. You don't want to create a core piece of content and then build on something that does not easily facilitate sales. Even if it's eventual sales, even if it's, latent sales down the line, planting the seed, it still should have a resource and serve as a vehicle to remind people that they can book right away. So usually that's within a website. Nowadays with Facebook integration and all, and Google, you're able to have sales facilitated in other places. But I advise my clients to, number one, base everything in one place. If you're going to create, a pillar of content, and go across other mediums, make sure that in some way is top of mind in creating a sale. And then also, I think it's personal. I think it's a personal journey, however someone feels best creating content. As Christian likes Clubhouse, Shane is amazing at his podcast. There's different ways to get out there. And I think that is actually a benefit to this crazy current post-COVID society or whatever it is, because any type of way you want to chat with someone, it's there now. Any type of way you want to get your content out there, there's a way to do it. It's just finding your direction and your comfort level in doing it. And I advise my clients to really pay attention to that. And it seems like it wouldn't make a lot of sense, but to me, if creating content and distributing content becomes a chore, then I believe that shows. So you need to find where you love to put content out in your avenue, and then it'll kind of grow from there.
So, America, how do you balance the or think about? It seems like every other day there's like a new channel or a new place that I've got to push my content out to. I mean, this is a topic that you're addressing directly, but I remember, back in 2008 and 2009, like Twitter was growing, rapidly, and then we had Instagram. Now, like the latest kind of buzz is Clubhouse. But when do we decide, okay, I need to really plant my feet in this versus kind of wait and not quickly jump on the bandwagon?
Well, I think testing is a great way to figure it out. Aligning with, what you love to do, and then testing out to see if your audience is out there. So for example, we have, I'm not trying to plug us, I promise, but we have the Tours and Tea out there, which is a test of putting the same piece of content in all of the social mediums and then having a follow-up discussion in Clubhouse. And we're trying to see where it gets picked up, and is it the type of or whatever, that's what I suggest for my clients and for other people out there, is to at least dip your toe in the water. Don't create an entirely new business account. That's something I do not want people to do, because then you'll have stale pages out there. But test it out personally. That's how I am on Twitter. I have a tiny little Twitter account because we are not, as an agency, very active on Twitter, so I would not want to put a dead page out there. But I still dip my toes, and I still kind of, keep my ear out there to see what's going on. So I guess it's just trying to stay attuned and testing. That's what I recommend.
I would, if I may, I would also say a slight disagreement with you, America, on personal choice with which distribution channel you use. Because the one thing I've learned in the last 3 years and interviewing 150 plus tour operators is I love Twitter, but for Tourpreneur, Twitter is rubbish. Right? I hardly get any traction, any likes, no shares. But Instagram and Facebook, we've done tremendously well. I do agree with you on testing. I think it's imperative that we all experiment with the different channels and actually look at those numbers and see what works, because our content is the fuel that we use to engage our audience wherever they're most active. And when we don't always know until we dip our toe in the water where our community is living.
I agree with you. Actually, I didn't want to go on a big diatribe, but in my class I'm talking about, I actually talk about aligning where your people are with what you like to do. There's a sweet spot in there. It's so deep to get into, right? So it's kind of like, okay, first of all, figure out what you like to do and make sure your audience is there. Absolutely. I agree with you, Shane.
If I could just throw my oar in the water here. We just had this conversation recently with a small tour operator panel, and it was interesting because this one guy he's young and he has a hiking company out in New Mexico, and he does really well on TikTok. And, again, that's his market. He puts out these really cool little short videos of the hikes, and he gets traction from that. Another tour operator who just does like historical walking tours gets nothing, because that's not the market. And I think it really is important to just kind of, it's good to test out, but you really have to ask yourself who your customer is before you spend too much time trying to be in everything. Maybe you just learn to do the one thing that works for you really well.
So Shane, I've got to ask you about Clubhouse. You've been experimenting a lot, and you just put something out. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I think you've got a new episode specifically on Clubhouse. So come on, give us your 2.5 cents. Should we be on there or not?
I think we should be on there, but we need to be careful who we follow. So the major piece of advice I have is don't follow everybody, because the UI is not very good. I'm sure it'll get better, but right now you can't go in and search by vertical. So your calendar is just full of these empty suit gurus and empire builders and cult leaders, to a point where I jokingly refer to it as cult house. You have to be very careful who you're following on there. And I also feel that moderators, there's some, like, I take my hat off to you, Douglas. Being a moderator is a tough job. You asked me to do it once in Berlin, and when you look into the whites of the audience's eyes, it's a tough job. It's not easy to be a moderator, and I think some of the moderators on Clubhouse will get better. But most of the ones I'm joining it's taking 10 minutes to get a room going. Look at us today. Bang, 10 o'clock, you're on. Quick intros, we're into the content. Clubhouse should be the same as well. And all this resetting the room stuff, it's like the room has the title, so we know what's being discussed. If it's tours and activities marketing, we know it's about marketing. So I do think it's a good forum. I think it will get better. Just exercise caution on who you follow in there.
But is it really a B2B and learning forum for operators right now, or is there an actual marketing customer acquisition opportunity there?
I think it's a good forum for learning and for networking, potentially. So if you look at a multi-day tour, when Clubhouse includes Androiders, and you can say, hey, it's 2 weeks before we're going on a multi-day tour, we've got this session, come in and ask your questions of the tour leaders. We can talk about prep and things you need to pack. I see it being really cool for that. Whether it'll be an actual sales channel, I'm not convinced.
So Alan, you had mentioned kind of TikTok and kind of different channels, but so TikTok to me is really interesting. It's like emblematic of how content is evolving. In other words, like Shane, hats off to you and kind of the book club. But I feel kind of like people are going from like, books to to synopses, like it was Medium for a while, like short articles, and now like every publication is putting how long is this read, or if you're on YouTube now, it's like people are searching or choosing by the length of the video, and it's platforms like Instagram, like a quick photo, or TikTok, maximum 1 minute video. How should we be thinking about this massive, what is it, the shortening of content? Like we have to deliver all of this information in a single photo or a single message or a short video. How do we, as content creators and content marketers, how should we be thinking about this? I don't know who wants to, that's a big question. Who wants to jump in first, Marika?
I mean, I guess the question is in relation to how do you disseminate a big topic in a smaller way?
Well, I mean, let me ask you this. Like if I'm producing, if I do a blog and I also produce videos, like I notice, I see a tour operator I often get like emails from operators. They want me to look at their video or do this. And I see a video that's like 10 minutes long. And my immediate reaction is, am I really going to sit around and watch, a 10-minute video? And am I, as a customer, going to do that? Or likewise for a blog post? And I'm sure Mitch will talk about this a little bit later on. But I mean, one question is, should I even blog? But if so, should it be 2 paragraphs?
I would say nothing's ever too long, only too boring. So, as a journalist, Douglas, every paragraph's designed to get you to read the next paragraph. And I think it's the same with video making as well. You want to take people on that journey. Yeah, if you take Joe Rogan, for instance, how on earth people have 3 hours plus to listen to him, especially in these days when we're not commuting, but he did $100 million deal with Spotify. So he must be doing something right. Yeah,
I mean, that's something that we're testing as well. I mean, that's, in terms of the length of the content. You know, our videos right now are 7 minutes, and we deliberately made them shorter to see if they would have any engagement. What we found for my agency is that we're not getting a ton of likes or shares, but we're getting people writing us directly, and we're getting leads directly from it. So it's really weird how people choose to engage with what it is. I think in terms of a tour or attraction provider, I absolutely agree that, the passion has to show through. It has to be the quality of the content, which is why I speak in relation to what you enjoy doing, layered in with your target market, because if you enjoy it, if it's something that is of quality and has that nugget, then people will pay attention longer. And again, yeah, just as Shane had said, writing in the inverted pyramid, making sure your paragraphs are short. I mean, long form content performs really well, especially with SEO. And it does perform well on, interfaces like Facebook if it's written in a way that is easily consumable and scrollable by phone, so that you can have smaller paragraphs, maybe bullet points, sometimes emojis, sometimes they work. It's the delivery of the content as much as it is the content in regard to engagement, in my finding.
I think it goes
if I
back
can jump
to-
in with video real quick. I teach several video classes, and we have a lot of video content creators now that are testing different types of videos for our industry. And I think that it's important. What we found that really kind of like helps is having those shorter videos really makes a difference to get people interested in you as a person or your content in order to watch and engage in the longer videos. And the watch time is actually increasing for those that actually have short videos to complement the longer videos. If you just have long videos, people are they're more hesitant to jump in there and get involved with you and your channel. But if they have short videos to go with it, they'll dive into those first. I'm an old guy from the 70s. We called it short attention span. Maybe it's ADD. You have to get me in the first 30 seconds or you lose me. I'm obsessed now with YouTube Shorts. I mean, I shouldn't be, but I'm completely obsessed with it. I think it's going to be a great new thing. I'm not a TikTok guy, but YouTube Shorts, I actually see it evolving into something that could really help in that area. So I think that there's room to start thinking of short, quick content to blast people into your main channel. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with that.
I think you're right there, Alan. I just joked about Joe Rogan, but I only discovered him because before he went to Spotify, he used to have 5 to 10 minute clips from those interviews where it'll be Elon Musk talks about his dream of Tesla, and you might watch that 10 minutes and go, oh, this is really cool. I'm going to go and listen to the whole 3 hours. So I think you're right, having those bite-sized options. But also it goes back to that experimentation. If I'm going to spend $10,000 on a multi-day tour, I'm probably going to watch an hour-long video. If I'm spending $30 on a walking tour, I'm probably not.
That's a good point.
Virtual tours in that way, are they going to become a part of the content arsenal for operators? I feel like I've been seeing this a bit more. I know this debate has been going on within our industry for some time, where the commercial success of virtual has been, more the exception than the rule. But I'm still seeing a lot of operators investing in this really now as kind of the future of marketing, almost like taking a test run for a tour. Alan, what are your thoughts there?
So I actually commented on, Shane had something on his forum about this, and I actually work with a very, very large multi-day tour operator. And back when COVID first hit, it was like April or May, they asked me to produce some content on virtual tours, and we were kind of exploring the area. But this tour operator is very production oriented. They're very high end in terms of what they want to put out and produce quick. What we end up doing is tapping into some of their guides. They're guides that work in Italy. They're guides that work in various destinations. They have tours. They produced various types of tours. So in England, they did tea tastings and things like that. So it was interesting in the content. But what was most interesting is it was never meant to be a money generator. They were never going into this with the idea that this is how they're going to make up for their thousands of dollars they're losing per customer in their tours. But what this is doing, they're finding, is now that content is actually being purchased by people that are testing out where they want to go. So in other words, their tours can run, $4,000 to $7,000 a person. And so I'll happily spend $39, $49, $59 to watch a 60-minute, video kind of showing me what that tour is all about before I invest that heavily. So it is turning into content, and they're now in the process of moving all that into their main website as they start to open up tours again. So I think, virtual tours are great. I have a thing that I think is a lot of it can be content that can be reused later on.
I would prefer, to be honest, to see the vast majority of operators, maybe don't have that kind of budget to produce those kind of experiences, to focus on storytelling. Who am I going to meet on your tour? What sites am I going to see? Like, don't give me the whole thing. There's, I went on 3 Amazon live streams, Amazon Explore, and my feeling is I would pick places where I know I'm not going to go and get visit. So for instance, I'd love to go to Palmyra. There's no chance of me going there anytime soon. So I would take a live stream of that. But Old Town Prague or Berlin or places that I know I'm going to visit, I don't want to see it virtually. I want to experience it myself, see it with my own eyes and smell the smells with my own nose and not see things on virtual. But tell me that story of the people I'm going to meet on that tour or the sites we're going to see. And also share other things that I think this is important with content as well. Don't just make it about ourselves. If you're a walking tour of, say, DC, share a really good restaurant, talk about them, or a market or something else I can see when I visit. And then you become a valued resource as well as an experience or a tour.
That's Shane. It's a great point about storytelling, and I feel like this has been one of the say marketing buzzwords over the past few years. That like every brand has to tell a story. So I can certainly see that in the context of doing a virtual tour or maybe writing a blog, and certainly when I'm designing my tour, like I'm designing the script for the tour. But how do I incorporate or think about the idea of infusing my brand messaging or all of my touch points with storytelling? How do you tell a story on Instagram or on your website, America?
Instagram stories, the Instagram stories feature. No, I mean, I think it's about, there's storytelling. To me, I understand it's a buzzword, but I think it speaks in relation to the emotional connection that you need to make with your audience, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be an actual story, but it has to be something that is in the framework of a narrative that is personal and appealing and emotive, and that also feels clued in, so that it's a very personalized resource and only you can provide it for this particular area. And that's why they're seeking you out. And you can do that with all sorts of mediums, including Instagram stories.
You've said yourself, Douglas, on numerous Arrival reports that travelers want to go behind the scenes. We want that insider's view. And I feel it's the same with storytelling. That's why we want to go on these experiences. We want to get that exclusive access. I always remember Margaret Hicks's tour up in Chicago, the rooftops of Chicago. Amazing tour. And we had so many stories that I felt like an insider. I felt like I knew more about downtown Chicago than the locals did.
No, that's a great point. Definitely. I mean, people want that connection, that personal connection, to your point. They want to feel like they're a part of it and feel connected with, not just a fact, but the people and a local experience. Well, look, guys, we just have about a minute left, and I can't let you go without a really quick lightning round. So I got a few questions. I'll try to get through them, and just a kind of an either or answer. So Alan, for you first, Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram.
Oh, okay. America, long form or short form?
Short form.
Okay. Shane, should operators launch their own podcast?
Only if all their business fundamentals, such as websites, photos, copy, booking flow, are working well and efficient. Then look at podcasting. Focus on video and photos first, please.
Alan, should I blog?
Yes.
America, should I blog?
Yes.
Shane, should I start a blog?
Yes.
Should I start a podcast?
Yes.
Should I go into Clubhouse?
Yes.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We got to wrap it up here. For everyone, classes start in just a few minutes. Go to Playing Now, choose your class, and dig in. Lots to come.